welcome to another edition of Nostalgic Christmas, 2016. And, I've decided to do a somewhat different video for you guys today. I know I've been doing a lot of Let's Plays in this series, but let's be honest here, they're very easy to do and quick to do. But, and we're going to kind of do that again today, but in a different, more unique way. You see, back in June of this past year, I posted a video where I was playing Earthworm Jim while talking about the big thunderstorm of June of 1996. And, well, I want to do something kind of similar to that in this video, except on a different subject and a different game. Today we're going to be playing one of my favorite DOS games of all time, Jill of the Jungle, while I talk about my memories of 90s Nickelodeon. Because, come on, if you grew up in the 90s, you watched yourself some Nickelodeon. There's no doubt about that. It was everywhere, everywhere. So anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and fire up Jill of the Jungle. This is actually the second time I've tried to record this video. The first time the audio completely glitched out on this game, and I had to do a cold reset on the Packard Bell here. So hopefully he doesn't do it again. Right, so far so good. Yes, I'm using the joystick. I'm not playing this in DOS mode because in DOS mode I'm not able to use the microphone. So Windows 95 it is. Alright, I love this music, by the way. Anyway, 90s Nickelodeon. Like many other people who grew up in the 90s, Nickelodeon was probably one of my fondest memories of all time growing up. The first time I ever saw Nickelodeon was, I believe, in 1993. Sometime in 1993, at least. I was probably about 3 years old. And I just vaguely remember them hooking up a cable box in the living room of our house on our old wood grain console TV. Remember those? Wish that would make a comeback, but with today's modern LCD technology, that would not really work all that well. But I digress. I remember them hooking up that cable box, turning it to channel 24, which is what Nickelodeon was on back then, and seeing Rugrats for the first time. And I was just in complete amazement at the show. I mean, Rugrats. It was so hilarious, and such good story writing as well in there. And so obviously, as many of you know, Rugrats is one of my favorite TV shows of all time. Probably the greatest animated TV series of all time, in my opinion. Although I'm sure a lot of you will disagree with me on that, but I don't care. And after that, I just became an avid watcher of Nickelodeon throughout the 90s. I remember not only watching Rugrats, but my big thing on Nickelodeon was not only Rugrats, but the game shows like Double Dare, or more specifically Family Double Dare, Nick Arcade, Nickelodeon Guts, more on Guts later, and Legends of the Hidden Temple, of course, can't forget that. And some of my fondest memories of Nickelodeon is watching a lot of those game shows with my mom, especially on Sunday mornings. I remember I'd have to get up early every Sunday for church, and me and my mom would always watch Nick Arcade when it came on at like 6 or 6:30 in the morning. And I remember both of us were just absolutely amazed at how they were able to go inside the video game. And even to this day, when I watch old episodes of Nick Arcade, I find the way they were able to do that video zone was absolutely fascinating, especially for the early 90s. And of course I know how they did it, they used green screens and everything, but it's still pretty impressive to consider, even 25 years later. And of course there was Family Double Dare. I remember my mom would really get into that show, and she would get mad at the TV when they would give a blatantly stupid answer for something. So that's how you know a show is good, when you can really get into it like that. Another fond memory I have, definitely, is I actually got to see Nickelodeon in person. Unfortunately, I did not go to Nickelodeon Studios in Orlando, so instead Nickelodeon came to me. As I mentioned earlier, I was massively obsessed with Nickelodeon Guts in the early part of the year 1994. And it was my favorite game show of all time. I loved watching them climb the aggro crag and all that. It was just absolutely wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. So, Nickelodeon Guts and Nick Arcade, two of my favorite game shows on that channel, both came to the Greensboro Coliseum in March of 1994. And I was able to go to that. It was hosted by Mike O'Malley and from Nickelodeon Guts, and Phil Moore from Nick Arcade. Of course, I was only 4 years old at the time, but I still remember it as a very fantastic experience. In fact, one of the things they were selling as things, how do I put this? One of the souvenirs they were selling at the show was a Nickelodeon World Tour pennant flag. By the way, I'm sorry about the microphone popping. There's not much I can do about that. And my dad got that for me. In fact, I don't know where it is right now, but I know for a fact that I still have it. And I remember having it taped on my wall when I was a kid in my bedroom. It was I was very proud of that. Not only that, but a Nickelodeon Guts t-shirt that had the Nickelodeon Guts logo on it. And I wore that for a couple of years. In fact, if you go back and look at some of my old home videos that I have uploaded on YouTube from the mid-90s, you can see me wear that shirt. It was one of my favorite shirts back then. So yeah, Nickelodeon, such very fond memories of that channel. I mean, back then they had everything. They had cartoons, you know, like Doug and Rugrats, Ren and Stimpy, although I never really got into Ren and Stimpy. Rocko's Modern Life, now that was a funny show. In fact, I hear they're making a, like a made-for-TV movie coming out next year with, Rocko's Modern Life in it. So I'm definitely going to have to check that out. What else did they show back then? Oh, this really isn't directly related to Nickelodeon because this wasn't a Nickelodeon television show, or shows, I should say. But remember when I mentioned getting up early on Sunday mornings to watch TV with my mom before church? Well, I remember not only would we watch Nick Arcade and sometimes even Family Double Dare on Sunday mornings, but sometimes we would watch the old black and white Lassie shows. Nickelodeon used to air those back then, as well as Flipper, the really smart dolphin show. They call him Flipper, Flipper, faster than something no one can see. can be any me. Well, I don't know what I'm doing now. By the way, I love the music in this particular level. I remember I used to do a killer Lassie impression in the early 90s because of my history of that show. And Flipper, actually. I used to do a pretty good impression of him. I used to sit in my bathtub as a little kid and play with this this toy shark. I called it a dolphin, but it was really a shark. But I would pretend it was Flipper, and I would squeak it and make it sound like Flipper. I'm starting to ramble, aren't I? What else did I watch back then on there? Clarissa Explains It All. That was definitely my favorite of the sitcom shows on there. Didn't watch it all the time, but when it was on, I would catch an episode when I could. So yeah, oh yeah, What Would You Do? What Would You Do? That was another good game show. Also hosted by Mark Summers from Double Dare. Now, you may notice that I've mostly been talking about the programs that were on Nickelodeon from the early to mid-90s. Well, as much as I love the later shows like Hey Arnold, Keenan and Kel, and Cat Dog, Angry Beavers, all those good shows, while there was absolutely nothing wrong with them, I loved them as well. The ones from the early to mid-90s, I just have more nostalgia for, and I wish I would get a little bit more attention from other people who are nostalgic for the 90s, because it seems like you only hear about the late 90s stuff, at least to me anyway. And you know, studying this stuff, I always say that when looking back at such a long ago period as the 90s, the early to mid-90s especially, it's almost like exploring and researching a lost civilization. If you think about it, it kind of makes sense. Also, on November the 27th of this past year, which was just about a week or two ago, marked the 22nd anniversary of one of my most prized possessions, and it actually does involve Nickelodeon. I've told this story on this channel before, but as you know, I was an avid watcher of Rugrats when I was a kid, and on my 5th birthday, on November the 27th of 1994, Nickelodeon had an all-day Rugrats marathon. It was part of their annual weekend after Thanksgiving non-stop Nicktoon marathon or something, whatever it was called, something like that. And that Sunday, on November the 27th, they showed an 8-hour marathon of Rugrats. And my parents recorded it for me, all 8 hours of it. And I probably only watched that tape maybe 2 or 3 times after it was recorded, and then it was put away for many, many years until the year 2005, when I rediscovered it when I was starting to get into 90s nostalgia like I am today. I believe that was over 11 years ago, 11 and a half years ago, actually. But anyway, I remember finding that tape, and you would think that the Rugrats episodes on there would have been the most interesting to me, although to be fair, they were pretty interesting. It was the commercials that were on that tape that really, really, really took me back. It's amazing how just something so silly as old TV commercials can set the nostalgia going. And even to this day, 11 years later, if I'm feeling depressed or sad, which to be honest, the way things have been going in my life, that's a pretty common thing, I pop that tape in the VCR, well, not much anymore. I've actually had it digitized to MP4 format, so I can just watch it on the computer. I can just watch those old commercials and sometimes even the episodes of Rugrats that were included on there. And I'm immediately taken back in time to a much simpler time when I had nothing to worry about. You know, I get a lot of comments as well asking, "Oh, Billy, why are you so nostalgic for the 90s? You're too young to be nostalgic. Isn't being nostalgic kind of pointless? You should be living for today and tomorrow." Well, yes, I am living for tomorrow and today. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. You see, nostalgia is what I like to call comfort food. Not only that, it is also a hobby of mine. I mean, look at my blog about Carolina Circle Mall I've been doing for 11 years now. And I'm still doing it, albeit not as frequent, but it's still there. It's not an obsession, although I guess it kind of can be, but there's nothing wrong with being nostalgic, you know. Give it a try sometime. I think you'll enjoy it. And you may also wonder, does Billy get depressed all the time when he thinks about how much better things used to be? Well, kind of every now and then, but I try to ignore that. Instead, like I said, I use it as comfort food. Because I like to watch all these old cartoons and commercials and look at all these old pictures of Carolina Circle Mall, play these old computer games on my old Packard Bell computers, because it's fun. It is absolutely fun, and it's what I enjoy doing. You may not share the same sentiment, that's okay, but we all have our own specific interests in mind for the world. And if everyone in the world liked the exact same thing, well, it would be a pretty boring world to live in, don't you think? Alright, back to Nickelodeon. What else is there to talk about? Old Nick Jr. Nick Jr., as you may recall, was Nickelodeon's morning time block that was targeted to small children, and it had shows like Allegra's Window, Eureka Castle, I think. I feel kind of bad, I'm kind of drawing a blank on some of these shows, but my fondest memory of Nick Jr. was Face. Remember Face? The big, giant face that would host Nick Jr. every day? First time I ever saw him was December the 27th of 1994, when we were taking our Christmas decorations down for the year. And he happened to come on TV, and I was thinking, oh, what a weird guy. But I liked him. I actually really liked him. And Nick Jr. also had other non-Nickelodeon shows, actually, like Muppet Babies. That's how I watched that show back then. The Muppet Show. And sometimes they even showed Rugrats on there. Which, as you know, more Rugrats is not a problem with me. And by the way, yes, if you're wondering, I do find that meme quite entertaining of Stu Pickles making chocolate pudding at 4 o'clock in the morning while losing control of his life. For those who don't know, that's taken out of the episode Angelica Breaks a Leg, which also happens to be on my Rugrats marathon tape. What a coincidence there. Thankfully, the I'm not Stu episode is not on there. That episode scared the living crap out of me when I was a kid. So yeah, Rugrats, very, very good show. What else is there to talk about so I can fill this game up with narration? What do I think of Nickelodeon nowadays? Well, to be honest, I think it's a bunch of crap. But that's just my personal opinion. In fact, the last time I ever really watched Nickelodeon was several years ago, and I think the only good show they have on there nowadays is probably SpongeBob SquarePants, and even that's kind of not as good as it used to be. It's my understanding the reason that Nickelodeon is the way it is now is because sometime in the late 90s, of course, you're probably already going into the comments and saying, "Yeah, Billy's an idiot. He don't know what he's talking about. I bet he likes to I bet he likes to paint his Packard bells in polka dots and listen to polka music on them." But anyway, I think this is more of a rumor than anything else, but I think from what I've heard, sometime in the late 1990s, Nickelodeon had a new CEO come in and made a lot of changes. And they kind of took away some of the stuff that made the channel what it was, and it just felt kind of didn't feel as strong afterwards. Even though I still watched it, it just didn't have the same magic as it did in the early to mid 90s. And I'm probably going to get roasted in the comments for that opinion, but but don't get me wrong, I still enjoy the shows from the late 90s. I'm just not as nostalgic for them. And nostalgia, as I've always said, is in the eyes of the beholder. What you find nostalgic might not be nostalgic to me, but I'm absolutely okay with that, and I'm not going to hold anything against you. Okay, maybe I will, you piece of garbage! Oh, sorry, a little bit of, that was a very uncalled for. I apologize. Okay, what else can we discuss? Oh, I hate this level. Let me show you what happens. Yeah, if that thing is down, if the sword is down, at least I think it's a sword, you will die. Cheats or no cheats. So you gotta adjust these switches in the right way. So we need to go up here and hit this switch. Now this one. And I believe that's all the knight's taken care of. Oh, Rugrats. Back to Rugrats. I have a very, very strong opinion on this, and it's one that most people don't really care for. I think Rugrats, as nice as it was to have it back in 1997, I honestly think they should have just not continued it after the whole Dill thing, after the movie, because I don't know, the show did not feel the same after Dill came along in, I think, 1998. Because I preferred Tommy Pickles as an only child. I'm sorry. That's just my opinion. And no, I'm not Paul Schindler. Oh, and don't get me started on Kimmy. When they brought Kimmy in, those episodes should be banned from television. I'm sorry, I'm probably ruffling a few feathers here, but in fact, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Any episode of Rugrats that took place after the movie, I do not consider canon. I believe that Tommy remained an only child and grew up to be a happy adult. The end. Oh, I'm gonna get so much hate in the comments now. But you know what? I don't care. It had to be said. Oh, and all grown up. All grown up. Oh, man. That show, if you can even call it a show, ruined everything that made the Rugrats what it was. The Rugrats were not designed to be shown as preteens and teenagers. Now, I understand, obviously, kids change over the years. But just seeing the thing is that the characters acted too different for my liking. They just seemed nothing like I would have imagined them to be at that age. And I just don't think it's the right representation. And again, like the episodes of Rugrats that came after Dill, I don't consider all grown up canon to the Rugrats universe. In fact, here is my crazy theory. Now, emphasis on the crazy part. I think that all the stuff that happened on Rugrats and All Grown Up after Dill and Kimmy came along was nothing more than a very severe anxiety-driven nightmare that Stu Pickles had one night after eating too much chocolate pudding at 4 a.m. But again, that's just my personal little theory. So yeah, Rugrats post Dill and Kimmy and All Grown Up were nothing more than Stu Pickles' fever dream. I mean, look at the man. He was kind of a nutcase to begin with. Now, why can't I get that key up there? Okay, this is getting annoying. Oh, that's right here, there. So yeah, what else is there to talk about? There's a video on YouTube. If I can find it again, I'll put a link to it in the description. It's basically it's from 2013, and this guy wrote a book about 90s Nickelodeon, kind of interviewing people that were a part of 90s Nickelodeon and what made the channel what it was back in the day. In fact, I actually own that book. I got it in my hand right now. It's called Slimed, An Oral History of Nickelodeon's Golden Age by Matthew Klickstein. I probably mispronounced that last name, I'm sorry. But basically, the video is of the book launch in New York, and it's basically a reunion with a bunch of people that worked at Nickelodeon in the 80s and the 90s, and it was mostly hosted by good old Mark Summers. And it's about an hour and a half, 2 hours long, I want to guess. But it's definitely worth checking out. A lot of good information in there. As a matter of fact, okay, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not recording this in December. It's actually November the 19th when I'm recording this, so this hasn't been aired yet, but next Wednesday, the night before Thanksgiving, Nick at Night's going to have a 30th anniversary special for Double Dare, which I have absolutely got to see. And it's also going to be hosted by none other than, you guessed it, Work Summers, the king of, pretty much the king of 90s Nickelodeon. Another thing, thanks to some really cool people over the years, I've also built up an extensive video collection of 90s Nickelodeon television shows and recordings via videotape trading, or I guess nowadays it would be DVD trading. I mean, I got stuff like the Big Help-a-thon from 1994 and 1995, the Kids' Choice Awards from 1994, almost an entire day's worth of Nickelodeon programming from August of 1995. I got some really cool stuff here, folks, and if any of you have anything 90s Nickelodeon related that you'd be interested in trading off, let me know. Send me a private message here on YouTube and we can set up a video trade. I'd really love to expand my video collection. Got that ant there. As for this game we're playing, by the way, I actually do remember playing this on the original Legend 822 CDT sometime around 1996. Don't remember exactly when it was, but I'm pretty sure it was, I didn't get very far in it. But I will tell you that I definitely did get it from the AOL Games channel, which I really miss. I got a lot of good games from there back in the day. A lot of good shareware and DOS games. In fact, that was how I was introduced to good games like Firefight and The Incredible Machine. Clear this level, or not. So yeah, sadly, I never got to visit Nickelodeon Studios when it was still around. I'll tell you what's ironic, or coincidental, I guess you could say as well, is that Nickelodeon Studios was closed in 2005. That was the same year that I got into 90s nostalgia, and the same year that Carolina Circle Mall was demolished. So, yeah, not a very good year for that kind of stuff. Oh, look, I'm a fish. I am 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 a fish. Oh, 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 I am a fish. Alright. See if we can breeze through this level. Wait a minute, I think I missed something when I was a fish. Yep. Not the apple necessarily, but... There we go. Anything up here? Yes, sirree. How about over here? Quit taking my health away! Alright, we're clear there. Now we can return to human form. We can now return to the subhuman form. trying to think here. Anything else I want to talk about with 90s Nickelodeon? I've still got a couple more levels in this game, and I've run out of stuff to talk about. Great. This is pathetic. Oh, I mentioned a while ago that Rugrats marathon tape from 1994. Well, you can see most of the commercials from that tape right here on this channel. Back in 2014, for the 20th anniversary of that tape, I uploaded all the non-Nickelodeon related commercials to this channel. I did that because Nickelodeon and Viacom do not like having their stuff uploaded on YouTube, or else you will get copyright striked, and it's not a fun experience. But yeah, just go back and check it out. It's some really good nostalgia there. And I got some other stuff on my Retromercial Billy channel if you're interested. Did I get everything? Did I take care of this end? Yes, I did. It was a waste of time. Just like this video. Alright, let's see if we can get the heck out of here. There we go. Alright, next to last level. Oh, another thing that I have in my Nickelodeon video collection is almost every airing of Snick, which was Nickelodeon's primetime Saturday night block in the 90s. I have almost every airing of that from May of 1993 to January of 1994, which is really, really cool to have. Really cool. And yes, it has the commercials. Again, if you're interested in doing a video trade with me, I've got those as well. I'm a frog now. There's something wrong with this. Alright, got that. Now let's head back down. Alright, getting close to the promised land here. I should have known I'd have run out of stuff to talk about. Game goes a little bit longer than I thought. Alright, final level, final level. Alright, here we go. There's also a sequel to this game that I also have, Jill the Jungle 2. But unfortunately, that game is as hard as nails, and I've never been able to beat it. Probably because I'm a very impatient man. And yes, by the way, this is the Pac-Man Legend 822 CDT. What else? Alright, got some birds to kill. I'm running low on health now. There we go. Back to full health, I think. about there, folks. Alright, the rest of the game just plays itself. So yeah, this was a fun little video to make about my old memories of Nickelodeon growing up. It was quite an experience, and I think a lot of you folks probably hold the same feelings as I do about that channel. I still wish they would make a 24-hour classic Nickelodeon channel. But if they do, and again I'm going to ruffle a few feathers here, but if they do, please don't put an emphasis on the late 90s and even the early 2000s. I mean, yes, show that stuff as well, but just don't forget about the good stuff from the early to mid 90s. There was a lot of good stuff there. That's what I'm most nostalgic for, and I'm sure a lot of you are as well. Alright, we got the high score. That's nice. Alright. Guess there's nothing more to say here, folks. This is Billy Core, signing off.